Today, we are going to dive deep into the science of why so many of us feel, well, kind of distracted and burnt out. And more importantly, we're going to walk through a real science-backed way to reset your brain. Let's get right into it. You ever have those days you're feeling unfocused? Nothing seems to bring you that spark of joy it used to? And almost immediately, that little voice in your head starts up, right? I'm just lazy, or I don't have enough willpower. We blame ourselves, but what if I told you that's completely the wrong way to look at it? We have to reframe this entire problem. This is not some kind of personal moral failing. No way. It's a biological response to the crazy, unnatural environment we live in today. Your brain is actually trying to protect you. And once you understand that, you can start working with your biology instead of fighting against it. Okay, so first things first, we need to understand exactly what this trap looks like. Because our modern world, it's basically a giant playground of instant rewards, and it's messing with our heads. Think about your social media feed. It's literally an infinite river of new stuff, and it's designed to do one thing really well: weaken your brain's ability to just say, stop. Every single swipe, every like, it's a little unpredictable reward, a tiny dopamine hit that keeps your brain hooked and makes it physically harder to just put the phone down. And it's not just our screens. It's our food, too. You can get these super tasty, high-sugar foods basically anywhere, anytime. And they deliver this immediate, powerful blast of pleasure that our ancient brains, well, they just weren't built to handle this stuff on a daily basis. And then you've got gaming, which is just a masterclass in reward science. You have points, badges, leveling up. All of it is perfectly engineered to give you this steady drip, drip, drip of accomplishment, keeping you locked in for hours on end. So, what's the common thread here? It's all instant gratification. But it's actually deeper than that. These aren't just bad habits we picked up. These are highly sophisticated, engineered systems designed to hijack the exact same reward pathway our ancestors used to find food and shelter. And that's not me being dramatic, seriously. Just look at this quote. The pull to refresh feature on your phone, it's basically a slot machine that you carry around in your pocket. It uses the exact same psychological trick, a variable reward system that makes gambling so addictive. So, your brain is facing this constant 24/7 bombardment. What does it do? Does it just give up? No, it's way smarter than that. It defends itself. And understanding this defense is the absolute key to breaking free. I want you to imagine you're at a really loud rock concert, standing right next to the speakers. At first, it's awesome, right? The music is incredible. But after a few hours of that deafening noise, what happens? Your ears get kind of numb. Things start to sound muffled. Well, your brain is doing the exact same thing with all this dopamine stimulation. It's under siege. And here's what's happening on a microscopic level. It's a process called downregulation. So look at the baseline state. Your dopamine receptors are open, they're sensitive, ready for action. But then comes overstimulation. They just get flooded. And in response, your brain goes into defense mode. It literally pulls those receptors back, making them less sensitive. This isn't your brain breaking, it's your brain protecting itself. Now, this whole defensive process, it leads to a feeling that actually has a clinical name: Anhedonia. It's that flat feeling. It's when a walk in the park, or reading a good book, or just hanging out with people you love, it just doesn't give you that same feeling of satisfaction. Why? Because your brain's baseline for what counts as a reward has been jacked up so high that the simple, everyday joys just don't register anymore. Okay, but here is the really good news. This is not permanent, not even close. You can absolutely reset this system, and the science shows us a surprisingly simple, totally doable protocol to get it done. So the protocol is basically 3 steps. Step 1, you have to starve the system of all those artificial spikes. Then step 2, you just give your brain some quiet time. Let those neurons heal and become sensitive again. And finally, step 3, you start to mindfully reintroduce natural, slower rewards to retrain your brain. So what does that retraining actually look like? Well, it's things like this: reading a book, getting out in nature, meditating. These things don't give you that instant, cheap jolt of pleasure. They take a little more effort, and that's the whole point. It gives your dopamine receptors a chance to reset, and you start teaching your brain to find real satisfaction in things that you earn, not just consume. And let's be super clear about this. The goal here is not to get rid of pleasure. It's the complete opposite. The goal is to let your dopamine receptors get back to their natural sensitivity so that you can feel deep, profound joy from the simple, healthy, and sustainable things in life again. Now, this 24-hour reset, it's an incredibly powerful tool, but for it to really stick long-term, you need to build it on a solid biological foundation. You just can't build a resilient mind inside a deficient body. It doesn't work that way. You know, we talk about dopamine like it's some abstract idea, but it's not. It is a physical molecule. And just like anything else your body makes, it has to be built from raw materials. Your brain can't just create it out of thin air. And that link is so direct and so powerful. Just look at this. A deficient body with poor gradients for your brain leads to an unfocused brain. It's that simple. But a nourished body that gives your brain all the rich, raw materials it needs to build a resilient mind, one that can handle the modern world. So what are these critical building blocks? Well, two of the absolute pillars are a healthy gut-brain axis and getting enough magnesium. Magnesium is so important for calming your nervous system because it helps regulate glutamate, which is kind of like the brain's main on switch. If dopamine is the go-for-it signal, glutamate is the full-speed ahead signal. When it's out of whack, the whole system just feels revved up and anxious. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The research is clear. This quote shows that when the very receptors that magnesium helps to control start to malfunction, it's directly linked to things like anxiety. Bottom line, without these fundamental nutrients, your brain is fighting an uphill battle to keep its chemistry balanced. So the science really couldn't be clearer. Your brain isn't broken, it's just overwhelmed. It has this incredible innate ability to heal itself, to find its balance again. The only real question is, are you going to give it the chance and the raw materials it needs to do its job?